We are back to review some health. So you can take out your health books, but we have your quiz coming up. So go over this review before the quiz, and then you can do the quiz. And then I'll probably be back with another video later at a later time that will just be reviewing everything that you'll need to know for the test, which is Thursday. It is open book, but hopefully you won't even need your book because you're already going to know everything that you need to know because we'll go over it all. So hopefully you'll just remember that. But for today, for the quiz, we're just going to review over 68 to 78. And on page 68, one of the things that we talked about was your hair. Is it necessary to wash your hair every day? Remember, no, it's not necessary to wash your hair every day. The one part to that is an interesting part is if you have thin or greasy hair, when you have normally greasy hair, it is better to wash it more often. Those that have thicker hair don't have to wash it as often, but if you have thin hair, you need to wash it more often than those with thicker hair. But you don't have to wash it every day. Keep it brushed though, so that you can get the moisture and all of that. That's very important. Then we talked about your teeth. So I found some just common household things that helped to remind me of our teeth. So the first group of teeth are called your incisors. Remember your incisors? It says your incisors bite and cut your food. That's these teeth right here. They bite and cut. It's just so that's what these incisors do. So incisors are the first 4 teeth here, like I said, right there, okay? And they bite and cut. Then the next set of teeth are our cuspids. And your cuspids, right there, okay? They have 1 point or cusp. And what I thought of, I was trying to find something, these wonderful things, which makes me in the mood for some, but maybe later. This is like a little lobster fork. So this is to kind of tear the lobster meat out of the shell so that you can get it and eat that yummy meat. So it makes it easier to get it out because when it's inside a smaller part of the shell, it's hard to grab that meat out. So it's kind of tearing and chewing that meat. So it says our cuspids, they tear coarse fruits, vegetables, and meat. The other thing that I thought of, and I know it's not as great maybe it is an example, but it makes me think of tearing. This you may not have seen before, but it's just a can opener. Now it's not the can opener like you're used to, but when I was younger, my mom would make her pound cakes or different cakes, and she would use condensed milk. And so this sharp edge right here, you put this on the edge of the can and then you push down, and that sharp edge would pull that part of the can top away so that it would open the can up, and then you could just pour out however much condensed milk instead of opening the whole thing and spoiling the whole thing. This would just tear part of it. So these are the tools that I thought of for your cuspids. Cuspids, 1 cusp, and they tear apart coarse fruits and vegetables. Then we have your bicuspids, and bicuspids are here, right now. Your cuspids are here. Your bicuspids are here. Bicuspids have 2 points or cusps. And what our book said is that bicuspids, they tear and crush food. So this is a nutcracker. And my dad he would get his pecans from Georgia from his sister, and she would send them up to him, and so he'd get his nutcracker out and eat those pecans. But he loved walnuts, he loved all those different kinds of nuts, but he would have to use the nutcracker to get those open. And then I had to use this because this is also for lobster. Yummy, yummy lobster. So this is to crush the claws of the lobster so that you can get at that yummy meat better. So your bicuspids crush. Bicuspids crush. So remember, bicuspids, they're crushing the food. And then the last thing that we talked about are your molars. Your first permanent molars came in when you were 6, and they are at the very back of your mouth. But everything beyond your bicuspids, those are your molars. I can only imagine what this video looks like to some people that don't know me. But anyway, it's fine, no problem. So your molars, they grind the food, and it showed like gears. So I don't know if you can see, you can't see it moving as well, but this little part, yeah, there you go. You can see it a little bit better. That part is, this is a real can opener that we use today. And that part right here kind of grinds onto that lid so that that lid will easily come off. This goes all the way around that can lid, and then you can just pick that can lid up. So those are your molars. They grind the food into tiny pieces. Okay, so I'm hoping those visuals will help you to remember those parts of your teeth, your kinds of teeth, your incisors, your cuspids, 1 point or cusp, they tear. Your bicuspids, 2 points or cusps, they tear and crush. And then your molars, they grind your food into tiny pieces. And then we had 2 kinds of teeth that we have. We have your primary teeth, which are your baby teeth, and then your permanent teeth, which are your adult teeth. And then what are small holes in your teeth? Those are the cavities that we don't want to get. So we have to be careful of our candy intake, not so much candy or sugary sweets, because what does that do? It puts plaque. And what is plaque? A sticky film of harmful germs. It's a sticky film of germs. What is plaque? A sticky film of harmful germs. It's constantly on our teeth. And the more it stays on our teeth, the more it's breaking down. It's using acid and breaking down the enamel. And once that enamel starts to break down, that's when we end up getting cavities. And then those cavities go into the tooth, and they can cause pain and abscess and all kinds of things that we don't want to worry about. So we need to take care of our teeth. And it's very important that we brush them every day, twice a day, and that we floss them. We floss in between our teeth. And when you're brushing, make sure to brush the surfaces, every surface, the side surface, okay, and high, and a chewing surface. So that part where you're chewing that food, things get stuck in those molars and those deep parts. So make sure to brush the chewing surface. And then when you are flossing, make sure to use that good floss to get in between and kind of just rub down your tooth when you're on the top teeth, and rub back up when you're on the bottom teeth. And then that is getting some of those food particles and things that we couldn't get, getting rid of some of that plaque possibly, and getting rid of some of those germs that are on your teeth. And that's an important thing. Let's see. If you cannot brush, what should you do? So we have lunch. We're not going to have time to brush our teeth afterwards. What should we do? That's when you rinse with water, because that does take some of the food particles off of your teeth, which keeps the sticky film of plaque from staying there. Good. Who do we go see for our eyes? Optometrist. Yes, good. Optometrist. An optometrist helps us with our eyes. And then we said that we have got to be careful. Be aware if you notice things that are changing in your eyes, if you're squinting, if you are holding things close or holding things farther away. That's more for people my age. But if you're holding things close, or if your eyes hurt and bright lights are bothering them, these are different signs that you may need to have your eyes checked. So go to an optometrist to get your eyes checked. Then we talked about our ears. We need to be very careful that we don't put anything in our ears. Doctors can check to make sure if there's too much wax, and they can remove it. If you stick anything in your ears, it could puncture your eardrum, and that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to damage our eardrums. So when you are cleaning your ears, make sure warm water and a soft cloth, and that's it. Remember, cleaning your eyes, same thing. Clean your eyes. Don't scrunch and rub hard. Rub soft, but just definitely clean the area around your eyes. We get those, like I said before, eye boogers in there, and you want to, clean that out carefully. But that prevents styes from forming on the eyelids, which can be a little bit painful. And then we talked about health habits in public. What do we just not need to do? We just don't need to be like leaning on stuff and touching things that are not necessary to touch. Especially, now with everything going on, we don't want to put our mouths on anything. We don't want to put our hands all over the counters or even our arms, because germs from the counter will get onto your arm, and then you touch yourself and you touch your face. All of those are things that can be avoided if we are just careful. And then we need to always wash our hands, and that should take 20 seconds to wash our hands. Then we started talking about first aid. Who do we call? Not Ghostbusters. No, that's not who we call. We call 911, but only for emergencies. What is the help that's given to somebody right when they've gotten hurt? First aid. Very good. And that's important. So minor injuries may not need a doctor's assistance. Those are things that many times you can take care of on your own. And that's what we started talking about. If you get a bump or if you get a scratch, those are things that are able to be taken care of without having to go to the doctor necessarily, unless it's gotten really bad, or if it was a really bad bump or sprain or something like that. So bump or twist, remember rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Yes, I had a friend just recently that hurt themselves. They hurt their foot. And guess what the doctor told them when they went to the doctor? Yeah, you need to make sure to keep it iced. I'm going to put this wrap on it so it can stay compressed, so it can stay nice and wrapped up tight so it doesn't swell too much, and then keep it elevated. That's exactly what the doctor said. And I thought, oh, I have to share that with my kids because that just happened this week. And that's what my friend's doctor told them. So those same things that we've been learning. First aid emergencies, for any first aid emergency that happens, the best thing that you can do is call 911. Find an adult and call 911. Seizures that happen. If somebody's choking, if somebody goes unconscious and they can't breathe, you need to find an adult and then call 911. Electric shock, don't touch the person. Find an adult, call 911. That's just the main goal of what we've seen, just, taking care of. Then, if somebody is choking, what can an adult do? They do what's called the Heimlich maneuver, where they take their fist and put it by the belly button of the person and push in and up in order to expel that food or whatever they're choking on. If that didn't work, they might take them, bend them over, and just, really hard on the back to try to get that out. And that's the Heimlich maneuver. So be aware of that. Also, we talked about CPR, and it's breathing and keeping the heart beating. And that, again, it's not something that you are old enough to do right now, but you can find an adult and call 911. So think about each of those things very carefully. One of the things that we talked about is that when you do call 911, stay calm, because that's more helpful to those people who are trying to get aid to you. All right, so you have your quiz number 4. And so make sure you are looking at that. Section 1 is true or false. If the statement is true, write true in the blank. If the statement is false, write false in the blank. Read it through carefully and look for certain words that are underlined and see if those words are correct with the rest of the sentence or not. Section 2, short answer. List what needs to happen to apply the RICE method in case of a minor injury. Oh, what we just went over. Interesting. And then the second part of that is list 3 things to remember in case of an emergency. So we talked about 2 the whole time, and then the last time I told you 1 thing that you need to do if you're contacting somebody in emergency or an emergency happens. There's 2 things that I kept saying on that section. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And then at the end I said there was 1 other thing. Then the back of the page, it says write the letter for the type of teeth in the correct blank. So your cuspids, bicuspids, incisors, molars, you're just telling letter A, B, C where they are. And you know, when I was digging in my mouth earlier for you and showing you all the parts, you better remember that because I did that for you, okay? So think carefully through this quiz. It should be an easy one. Work hard on it. This is going to help you prepare for the test coming up on Thursday. So do well on it. I'm proud of you, and I know you're going to do awesome.